Whew, y'all, where do I find my words? I had to simplify, break it down. We're not doing video anymore because it was just too much for your girl to coordinate. And I had to admit with myself that we're not there yet. So YouTube is on pause, but the podcast continues. And welcome to Forward. Fumble Forward, y'all. Pick a podcast name that you can say. Note to self. I can say it. It just, I get so excited with y'all that the words don't want to come out sometimes. But we're going to fumble forward. All right. And this podcast is really for people on an imperfect journey to grow the relationship with God, themselves, and others as we pursue our truest path in life. And really, part of that journey has been so many things, but one of them has been The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman, the book that I told you all that I'm reading, and it's already just continued to be so insightful. I've worked my way through words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, receiving gifts, and it's been so enlightening to see what I think resonates with me, my husband, my sisters, friends, you kind of name it, and just seeing how I can apply that to my life and making it better. And really, I use words as a tool to communicate thoughts, to really serve others. But yeah, I'm kind of at a loss at this one. Started this, I came up with this episode idea because I'm not perfect. And also, finding the right words to say for everything all the time, online, offline, is a struggle, especially with major world events. Yeah, so y'all can probably already sense where I'm going with this, but probably not at the angle that I'm coming at it from. And really, this is about this immense struggle I have of just finding, you know what, let me just tell you the plethora of questions that run through my mind, because we all know there are wars happening right now, and they may seem far away from you, they may seem close depending on who you are. And what I've realized is that, through my experience, let's be clear, I'm speaking for a queer here. But like in the past, I felt like people use social media, myself included in some of these, to talk about presidential elections, to talk about mass shootings, to talk about law enforcement killing black people, just different things like that. And it was a very respond to an event that was happening. And then I feel like as I've gotten older, as the world's changed, in 2020, it really transitioned to me seeing things about George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Stop Asian Hate Crimes, COVID mask, COVID vaccine, do you do mask, do you do vaccine? And then in 2022, it was the Ukraine war that was being really elevated compared to other things that were happening at that time. And now we're in 2023. And there's this Palestine Israel war that has just broke out, and it's just creating so much despair and confusion and pain and hurt and anger, and the list goes on of emotions. And I struggle to ask myself, do I need to speak on this? Is my voice necessary on this matter? And I sat with it, y'all, for like, since the day the news really broke out. And, it's been a few weeks at this point. And I just still was like, all right, let me run these questions by y'all. I want to know if it's not just me that have these questions. Do you all have these questions that run through your mind when these major events happen in the world, that I feel like is this new kind of experience that is very much related to the new age, where we know so much of what is going on all the freaking time, and we know it so immediately. And literally, my stream of consciousness is like, okay, do I speak up on every major event on my social media? Is it okay to just talk about it in person with family, friends, a professor, shoot, a stranger? Or do I have to talk about it online? And then I worry, if it's not said on social media, do people think I don't care? Do people think I don't care? And then I'm thinking, okay, am I equipped enough to add to this conversation? And then I start getting worried. I'm worried I'm going to say the wrong things. I'm worried that I might get slaughtered in the comments because I didn't use the right language. I didn't consider this context and this background and this history. Or just that, like, someone might feel some type of way about me. And I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I don't like for someone to feel some type of way about me. I understand that I can't control everyone's response and feelings about me, but I still don't like someone to feel some type of way about me if I can control it, right? And then I started spiraling of like, okay, how do I decide what topics to share on my social and to not? And realizing that big responsibility we all bear with our social medias of how I'm going to use this tool. How do I want it to amplify aspects of my life and things that I value? Whoo! Again, how am I going to use social media to amplify my life and the values and things that I care about? Who is so deep, y'all? I just used to get on Instagram back in 2012 to just kiki, take some photos with my friend, and keep it moving. And now I'm like debating world problems and wars in my brain before I post things. It's insane. And now I'm like, where did this major guilt or responsibility to say something come from? Y'all, I'm truly puzzled. Like, when did this like weight? And sometimes it feels like guilt more than responsibility. I feel like depending on the situation, but to just show up on every single thing. And I'm like thinking, am I even supposed to show up on every single thing? Like, I'm just genuinely at a loss. Like, I'm tug of war, struggling in my brain and in my heart of what to do about this. And then I'm like, okay, what I have to decide is this. It's like I had all these questions and I didn't want to look to the world for the answers because we all know how that goes. It don't go well. In case you didn't get the memo, it does not. I repeat, it does not go well. I wanted to just have that moment of quietness and stillness and look to God for him to guide me on where to go with this guilt / responsibility. I feel like it's more guilt when I don't know much about a matter like the Ukraine and Russia war or this Palestine and Israel war, and then more of a responsibility when it's been more, let's say, Black Lives Matter type content or type of, not content, events happening. And so when I'm not as knowledgeable, or so I believe, it feels more like guilt. And when I feel like I'm a little bit more knowledgeable, it feels like maybe more of a responsibility. And I tussled with this, y'all. Tussled behind the scenes of all of social media. And then I realized and I decided that every event that happens in this world has opportunities to learn and to teach. Every opportunity in this world is an opportunity to learn and to teach. And sometimes the event is for you to prioritize learning. And sometimes the event is for you to prioritize teaching. So for me, it's been this event with Palestine and Israel is a chance, it's an opportunity for me to learn. I need to prioritize the learning portion of this. I do not need to be a vocal space in person communicating about this. I need to learn. I need to read articles, watch videos, have conversations with people that are impacted by it, hear stories and perspectives. Whereas sometimes I'm teaching a bit more. And an example is when the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement happened in 2020. I used my platform to really talk about how you can show up as an ally, and even more so just a intentional contributor to equality and equity of Black, brown people, basically everybody that isn't white and faces some type of challenge based on the color of their skin, and using resources that I made, like AYO Business Finder, for people to support businesses by Black, Indigenous, people of color. And that was a teaching space. That was a teaching opportunity. But all events have both. It's just sometimes you're going to prioritize one over the other. And more importantly, knowing that the lens I'm looking at every major event that's happening and that will continue to happen is everything in love. Lead with love. And just really understanding that, and that just being key. Lead with love. And when you're able to do that, you can't go astray. You can't. When you're leaning into God, He is love. When you're leaning into how you can show love to others, you can't go wrong, right? And y'all, I took you into the whirlwind that was my brain and thought process. And I'm curious if anyone else has these thoughts or have had these questions when an event happens and you're like, do I post on that? Or do I post about my trip to, the Bahamas? Or do I post that I just dropped a new podcast episode? Or can I post about this new restaurant I just checked out? Like, you be conflicted as you drop the post because like, whatever war is happening on the other side of the world, and you're like, what do I do? Or not? Is it just me? Okay, that's fine too. That's fine too. But it's been a struggle, but I'm just so grateful that I know when it's right for me to take the time to do the behind the scenes work and figure out my ish. Okay, because that's just the truth of the matter, is that there's always going to be these major events in life that are incredible and that are devastating. And all of them will be opportunities to learn and to teach. And I believe our job is just deciphering which one are we prioritizing in this moment, and then leaning into that. And that's what I've done with this. I have not spoken about it because this is a learning moment. And well, technically prior to this, I wasn't speaking about it. This is me speaking about it, but it's just such even a bigger conversation about major events in general that happen, how I'm looking at handling it moving forward, because this one really rocked me, where I was like, what am I doing with this? How do I show up in this online space that influences how people see me, how people may view Christians, like all the things, all the things, all the things. But that's what I'm doing, and leading with love. Straightforward and simple on that one, y'all, on that one. And while all this is going on, I'm also still building community, y'all. Still building community. And really, this focus for me is to reach out to loved ones I see could be directly impacted by injustices and wars. And I know I got a girl right top of mind who I need to reach out to, because I'm going to be real with y'all. You know, at least I've experienced when I don't know the right words to say, it just hinders me from doing anything at all. And I have to keep reminding myself, I got to show up regardless. I got to say, hey, I don't have the right words and I'm really afraid of not knowing what to say, but I'd rather show up for you than try to be right with my words and da 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 da. And that just literally be the message to them, so that they know I love them, that they know I'm thinking about them, that they know they're not alone, right? Like, you're not alone. And so that's going to be a big focus for me over the next however long it needs to be, because literally the verse that comes to mind to me that I think is so crucial in this time that I'm going to use is Proverbs 16:24. Pleasant words are like honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the bones. Proverbs 16:24. And just the power of my tongue and how I'm deciding to use it in this particular time. And then, yeah, just continue words of encouragement and kind words to my community. And then I'm going to open up my social on my Instagram stories for just prayers more for my online community during this time. And that's the way that I'm going to show up for my community. Y'all, I just appreciate y'all for listening, because there's so much that could be taking your attention right now, but you showed up here to hear my thought process and hopefully to gain some insight of how you can navigate showing up and speaking up about social events on your social media and just online in general, like what that looks like for you. Because I think gone are the days where you can't really have a strategy about that. Like, I think you got to have a strategy about that, and an honest one of what you can do, where you at, and owning that, right? Like, maybe every major event that happens is a learning opportunity for you, and like, bet, great, own that. Ain't nothing wrong with learning. Look, okay. But yeah, that's where I'm at, y'all. I thought I was, for some reason, like, I really felt like I was gonna cry or tear up with this, which is just so interesting. I think it's just, when you just even allow yourself for a moment to think about what's happening in the world, it can do that to you. But I'm so grateful that there's a God that's bigger than all of us, and we have the ability to continue to show genuine love to others. And I just thank you so much again for listening to this episode, being a part of this movement. And, if you're thinking like, dang, she really hit a struggle that I was having, a tussle in my brain that I was struggling with as well, with this topic of, do I post about major events on my social media? And more importantly, what the heck do I say? Share this with your friend. Like, let them not be out there struggling too on what to do. Give them this so they can get some insight and one step closer to a path that makes sense for them, right? And just be reminded, your quest for growth lights up the path. All right, y'all. Till next time.